Judy Krantz come and tell us a little bit about her case. Was not a pleasant thing. It was not pleasant at all. So Judy's from Allegan County. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Judy. I'm going to try not to bawl like a baby. But it's been 1 year since I lost my parental rights. This July at a family reunion, I was able to see my son Jack face to face for the first time in over a year, with the meeting being supervised. However, I have been not permitted to see my daughter Brandy at all. This is my story. I have been a mother to 5 children and 2 stepchildren. My family participated in regular church attendance. Education was a priority in our house. I attended parent-teacher conferences, muffins for moms, and other school activities. My sons played sports, and my daughters were in Girl Scouts. Family vacations included trips to amusement parks, cross-country trips to visit relatives, and trips to explore historical sites. Now, these are all the memories that I have. I have been a nurse for over 25 years. I opened a free clinic for uninsured adults and homeless where we lived in that area in 2007. It was a critical need in our community, and I felt that with some wonderful volunteers, we could answer that need. The clinic is still in operation today, serving the poor and the homeless. 3 years ago, my 12-year-old daughter accused my now ex-husband of sexual abuse. When I found out, I told my husband to leave and called my pastor and the police immediately. I was unable to reach the city police, the small town with 2 policemen. So I took Brandy to the sheriff's department and filed a report. I cannot express in words the shock and horror I felt as the situation unfolded. I sat next to my daughter, holding her and crying. It just kept repeating that I was so sorry. A detective contacted me a few days later and set up a meeting. CPS interviewed me in the meeting, and I reiterated what Brandy had told me about it. CPS asked me if I believed her, and I told them I support her completely. I then requested counseling for my daughter and my family. A contracted CPS counselor came to my house to talk with me. I had never witnessed any of the abuse, and his time with the children was so limited that I never suspected any. I supported my daughter 100%, I told her. The counselor stated that I had to say that he had done it in order to keep custody of the children. I took Brandy to her counseling sessions, helped devise ways to help her to ease her anxiety when testifying, and I held her every day. The counselor reported to CPS that I did not believe my daughter. Each case review, the CPS worker would report that I was a problem because I only believed my daughter 99%. At 1.5 months in the investigation, I still could not say I witnessed anything, but continued to help my daughter through her pain. CPS stated they wanted to remove the children for 2 weeks for a cool-down period. They threatened they would terminate my rights if I did not agree to it. There had been no charges of abuse nor neglect against me, so they could not remove the children from the house on that basis. So getting me to agree to this was their way of getting around that obstacle. This gave them the ability to make my children wards of the state, although I did not know that at the time. With my daughter crying in my arms, I agreed to it. They promised I could have liberal visitation and could talk to both my children whenever possible. That was just the beginning of the nightmare with CPS. The reality was I received 2 supervised hours a week and could talk to them 3 times a week for 15 minutes at a time. I was devastated and went before a judge to change it and make CPS keep their word. CPS reported they had no resources to let me see my children more frequently. We proposed various people to supervise, including family members, counselors, and even a state rep. But the judge left it up to CPS. CPS refused to even investigate the list. My relationship with my children began to break down. Do you have any idea what it's like to live in fear every moment of losing your children, both physically and emotionally? There's no time for sanity or well-formed decisions, only terrible fear and the inability to breathe. It is because of this state that CPS is able to manipulate you. They dangle your children in front of you, forcing you into a state of perpetual panic. The counselor said I was making real progress, and she was advising CPS to give me unsupervised visits and reports. I asked her for a copy of her report, and none of that was on her report. I thought, oh my gosh, I got to get a hold of the real report of it. Obviously, I don't have the whole report. So I emailed her and asked her to send me the full report. It didn't say anything that she had said it said. It only said that I needed more counseling. So I dumped her. I got a hold of CPS and said, I don't want her. I can't trust her. She's been lying to me. I went to Pine Rest for counseling. My daughter told me at one of the visits that the CPS counselor, which had been mine also, had told her that the fact that I had changed counselors was not in my favor. She said everyone, including CPS and her counselor, had told her I was going to be terminated. Brandy begged me to accept the voluntary termination they would offer when it came time. As the months progressed, CPS did not extend my visitation until a month prior to the trial of my ex-husband. At the next case review, they maintained that I was doing much better and that I was progressing toward unsupervised visits. I asked the court not to make me testify, but the defense subpoenaed me because I had not witnessed anything. Within 2 weeks after the date of my testimony, termination proceedings began, even though CPS stated that I was moving toward weekend visitations. CPS stated in court that they had, quote, exhausted every possibility for unification, unquote, and advised termination. I will never forget those words. CPS told me that if I did not take a voluntary termination, which would enable me to be able to still see my children, I would be terminated and never see them until they were 18 years old. They stated they would bring criminal charges. I took the voluntary termination thinking at least I would be able to see them. Both children were put into group homes for a year, and I repeatedly asked to see them, even supervised. I begged the agencies to let me be involved in their counseling process, and CPS refused. And this past year, I have only seen Jack at the family reunion, and I haven't seen Brandy at all. My son Jack is now with my second son, who is an ex-Marine and is attending college to become an agricultural engineer while working full-time. My daughter Brandy is with my oldest daughter, who is an alcoholic, abusive lesbian who could not hold a job for more than 6 months at a time. I have been in contact with CPS requesting over and over to see Brandy, even if supervised. She is in Kentucky, and I stated I would drive down there even if I could see her supervised for 1 hour a week. I am a junior at Grand Valley State University, majoring in psychology. I am fully intending to start a nonprofit agency when I graduate that shields women and educates them about CPS so that they do not stand alone in the shock and terror. At this point, they have no one to speak for them while CPS rips their family to shreds under the guise of protecting their children. And I don't mean these agencies, but they can't show up and hold your hand. You know, that's what I want. I want a group of people together to be able to hold their hand and not be able to be manipulated by CPS. I did not want to come today. Reliving the nightmare is something I do every day. This has been emotionally devastating for me, and I had at one point considered suicide. My children were everything to me, and it tore me apart to think I could not be there for my Brandy and Jack as they went through this horror. So I'm begging people not to walk away anymore, to stand up and do something about a system that would do this to our families. Let the pain and anger motivate you to do something and protect our little ones. I'm going to give this to the aide, a copy of it, but it's pictures of my kids, and my email address is on there in case you have any questions, you know, and want to follow up with me. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Judy. I met Judy through Citizens for Parental Rights, and she and her husband came to some meetings early on, and then I mentioned already a counseling degree at Cornerstone. Well, I had to do internship, actually 3 semesters of internship, and so looking for a place to do that, and found the clinic that Judy had started. Judy's standing here in tears, and I want you to understand that Judy is not a weak person. She is not a crybaby. She knows how to cry, but Judy started a health clinic, a free health clinic, and it's something that where there's a tremendous need for it. She's a strong person. She's a decent person. I wasn't aware of any allegations of Judy being guilty of abuse, but certainly I do believe that Child Protective Services abused their power and put her in a position where she had to choose between a rock and a hard place, and she chose a position where she could at least see her daughter. Now you just heard her, and I was in the I went to the hearing for that, and it was negotiated in the hallway, and that's what Judy agreed to. But it wasn't a fun thing. But that's been a while, and you heard Judy say she still hasn't been able to see her daughter in a year. So we've got a situation here that needs fixing. You heard Judy say she really didn't want to be here and say this. She didn't really want to tell her story. She hurts yet, but she's choosing to do something constructive with it, not let the hurt go to waste, but to make something good out of it.